when should we buy a farm? I'm like, well, yesterday.
Yeah.
Land's always appreciated. It's always gone up. It's always gone up. Sometimes it's been big leaps. Sometimes it's been minute, but it's always gone up.
It's so cool, and I'm so jealous that you talk about passing a 5 and a 6-year-old on your property to watch them grow.
It's really crazy because him and I mean, a mile distance with a lot of woods and CRP and stuff between us, and him and I trade deer every year. It's nuts. I mean, we're not always shooting giants. I mean, we're typically just trying to shoot 5 and older. I mean, that's kind of our goal.
Like when I bring my daughter out, I feel like I'm going to go out there and say, there's a deer. Do you want to shoot it? Shoot it.
Yeah. Button
buck or spike or 200-inch deer.
Conversations are a lot different in our blind.
All right, Stephen, I greatly appreciate you joining us on the Everland podcast today. It's truly an honor because I'm beyond excited to talk to you about this because this is one of my favorite topics to talk about, and it's something that I'm heavily involved in right now on the window shopping side. So we are here to talk all things land with you. If you want to give yourself a quick introduction, who you are, where you are, and what you do.
Yeah. So Stephen Stockman's my name. I work for Whitetail Properties Real Estate in central northeast Missouri. Man, I love habitat. I love farms. I love deer hunting, turkey hunting. I love doing it with my family. That's pretty much the ball of it.
I like it. And so obviously you said north central, so that's pretty good territory to be in, especially when it comes to land itself. You personally, your season has been, you haven't killed a deer yet this year, correct?
I have not.
Unless
no.
You just didn't send me a picture.
No, I've not killed one. I haven't even put pressure on my string yet.
Wow. But going back to land, well, I should say you haven't killed, but you've put your daughters in some pretty good positions so far this year. I will say that.
Yeah. So Oakland, we ran back from state softball the first weekend in November. We had a 5-hour drive back to Mercer County to get her in a box blind because we had a good buck on the farm, and big 5-year-old 8. She shot him that night, and she's 9.
Nice.
And then I hunted a specific deer named Johnson. I hunted him for about a month after that.
Where did Johnson come from?
I mean, can I say it on this?
Yeah. I can always cut you out.
The funny thing is, he was like,
make a clean version of it if you have to.
Well, I mean, it's pretty. I mean, I don't know if I can, but here we go. So the last couple of years, we passed him up as a 5 and 6-year-old, and he was just the clean 10 or whatever. And this year, he showed up on the farm, and he came to a scrape, and he was like facing the scrape, but He was far enough away that his front poles were out, and he was balling, and all you could see was his junk just bouncing back and forth. So a buddy and I were talking. He's like, "Man, that should be called Johnson." I'm like, "Well, you're right. I think it should be."
Wow, that's a clean enough version. That's
a good clean. I mean, good job. We appreciate that. Yeah. For one, I just think it's so cool, and I'm so jealous that you talk about passing a 5 and a 6-year-old on your property to watch them grow. Not a lot of people get to say that. I don't care what state you're in. It takes a lot of self-control.
Yeah, self-control, confidence, all the things,
And was this on a permission property, a lease, your own property?
Yeah, so it's a lease I've had for 30 plus years.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm fortunate enough in that area to have some really good neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
Man, if some of these deer make it past 4 and 5, I mean, they can live. I mean, last year I shot a 7.5, on the very last day of muzzleloader season. I'd hunted the deer for 3 years. I'd had 100 pictures, daylight pictures a year of him, and never could get eyes on him. And then saw him for the first time in a blizzard last year, killed him 2 days later, the second time I saw him in 3 years.
Wow.
So he was 7.5, and that deer was a bully buck. I called him Rocky. He basically, when he showed up on the property, all the other bucks we were hunting were gone. I mean, they just vanished. And got some really cool reconics pictures. I've been fighting a deer I called, man, what was that deer's name? Trying to think. Big wide deer, double deuce. I thought he was around 22 inches wide, just a big frame on him, and he was a 5-year-old. And I got some of the coolest reconics pictures I've ever gotten running cameras. But like, the first picture, they're sizing each other up and coming together. The next picture, both of their antlers are locked and both their front ends are up off the ground. And then the next picture, one of them's on their back and one of them's pushing them across the food plot. The next picture, the other one's on his back and the other one's pushing him back across the food plot. And then the next picture, he's, Rocky's running double deuce out of the food plot. So I was like, well, that was pretty cool, but I was in Illinois.
That'd have been great to be there.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd already tagged out. I tagged out the week before on a big 5.5-year-old that came from actually one of my clients' farm. I sold a client a property about a mile north of me, and it's really crazy because him and I mean, a mile distance with a lot of woods and CRP and stuff between us, and him and I trade deer every year. It's nuts. I mean, I know it's a mile. It's only a mile, but like, I'll have a deer on the farm at 5 o'clock at night, and then that deer will be a mile north at like 9 o'clock at night. Yeah. And then the next morning, that deer will be back on my farm. And then later that day, he'll be back a mile north. I mean, it's the craziest thing I've ever seen, but it's happened 2 or 3 times now. Like Caden's killed a 169 that was living on his farm, showed up here. And then let's see, there's been the deer I killed last year with a bow. Cadence was actually in the blind with me running the camera, and she filmed me kill him over my shoulder out of a blind. And that deer lived on his farm a mile north too. So I'm pretty fortunate to have good neighbors that are shooting 5 and older. And if they can make it to 5, I mean, there's a good chance if you pass them at 5, you can kill them at 6 or 7. Or, I mean, I don't know if I've ever killed an 8-year-old, but it's nice to kill mature deer.
Sure. Awesome.
I think we really came down to why you became a property or a land agent, real estate agent, so you can stack your neighbors on how you want, it sounds like.
100%.
Pick your neighbors, build the block, kill big deer.
Don't tell this guy this for sale, make sure he knows that this is.
Yeah, well, I say big deer. I say that loosely because, we're not always shooting giants. I mean, we're typically just trying to shoot 5 and older. I mean, that's kind of our goal. And my girls are starting to get up now. My wife's over here, but like Oakland's 9, Presley's 14. Presley killed a 5-year-old with a crossbow 3 years ago. That was a mid-50s deer. That was her first deer, first buck with a crossbow. And Cadence has killed multiple deer over 150 and 60. And Oakland's killed 3 bucks now. The first one I think was a 3-year-old, but that was her first year out, and she was 7.
Yeah.
And then last year she killed a 5-year-old, and this year she killed a 5-year-old. So we just try really hard to shoot 5 and older. That way we've always got 5 and older to hunt.
So we're going way off topic here, but I'm gonna ask you a question because obviously your daughters have been already very successful in the whitetail woods. Do you think there's a downfall to starting kids out at such a high level?
Dude, I think it's to each their own. And I say that because, I mean, man, my girls see me every year. I mean, fixing properties up, running trail cameras, digging water holes, setting blinds, trying to get entrance and exit right. I think it's something that they see and they know I'm doing it for a reason. Now, do I think they miss out on trigger time? I mean, absolutely. And I think that's, in this day and age, especially, I feel like, kids have got to have fun to keep them involved. And our people, I mean, it seems like the hunting industry and the quality of the people doing it, regularly, I feel like it's kind of, I don't want to say it's going down at all, but I feel like we need to keep the youth engaged in it, if we want this sport to last for years to come. But I feel like it's to each their own, just because the girls enjoy it. They enjoy the hunt. They enjoy the trail camera pictures. They enjoy naming the deer. Um, they work with me on the food plots here and there, and they kind of see the overall plan and what we're trying to do. And um, Caden's passed a 4.5-year-old deer this year that most grown men would have killed. And I think we passed him 4 times now. I passed him once with a bow. Caden's passed him with a rifle during youth season, the first hunt. He was tending a doe. His new name is Weezer now because he snort wheezed about 20 times in our face at like 50 yards, fending off other deer. And I got some great footage of him. And then he came back in a week later, and I passed him with a rifle. So he's been passed 3 times this year, once with a bow, twice with a rifle. And he's a big, massive 10, with kickers on his 2s, and he's probably a mid-50s deer, I'm guessing. But I really do think he's a 4.5-year-old deer, and he doesn't live on my farm. I mean, he lived a mile west of me all year. I know that because my neighbors and I are good friends, and we share pictures back and forth. And all summer he was showing pictures of this deer, and it was literally a mile west of me, and then October 31st, the deer shows up on the farm, and we've passed him up ever since. Now, my wife and my daughters think we're crazy because, I've showed it to several grown guys, and they're like, what are you doing? And I'm like, well, I truly think he's 4.5. And if you give that deer one more year, that's going to be a 170, 180 next year. And he ran the farm during the rut this year and wasn't pressured and wasn't tipped and pushed and felt safe. So I feel like, with what I've built there, even if he doesn't stay there, deer's ranges are different. They've got summer ranges, they got fall ranges, and but I got a good chance that even if he does move back to the west, for spring or whatever, I think that he knows where his rut core area is at, and I think he'll be back next year and a good chance to kill him. But if we don't pass those deer, we don't have, like my buddy Matt killed a dandy this year. We passed him at 4.5 last year. Had great footage of him. He was a mainframe 9-point that we thought was a 150. And Matt shot him this year as a 5-year-old and he went 198, So that's kind of what we're looking for. We're just trying to get him to 5 years old, let him get to genetics and try to be all they're going to be.
So it's safe to say you're not pushing your daughters to pass deer, saying like, no, you can't shoot that? Or are you saying like, no, you can't shoot that because we are going to grow him? Or are they like on board of like, Dad, is this deer old enough? Is this what we want to do? Is this what should we be aiming for? How does that, like when you're in the blind, how does that conversation happen? Because I know that like when I bring my daughter out, I feel like I'm going to go out there and say, there's a deer. Do you want to shoot it? Shoot it.
Yeah. Button
buck or spike or 200-inch deer.
Conversations are a lot different in our blind. Yeah, good or bad. I don't know. I feel like I don't want to say I'm doing it right. I feel like Cadence gets it, Oakland gets it. Presley's not as enthused in deer hunting anymore as she is turkey hunting. She loves turkey hunting. But her and I, we get to talk, we'll just go run a gun and set against a tree and talk to each other and listen to birds gobble and make a move and kill birds. But like, I feel like, so Cadence passed that 4.5 this year, which she was like, whoa, that's a good deer, and he's 40 yards. He's tending bucks off. He's tending a doe. He's grunting. He's snort wheezing. He put on a show on video. It was super awesome. And one of the best hunts we've been on. But I told her, I said, we're hunting a 7.5-year-old deer. I was like, I've had him within 100 yards 3 times now with a bow, but I've not closed the distance. And the week before, my buddy Matt and I had moved a bank scout blind into a rut pinch. And I'm not exaggerating when I say this, guys, but like the pinch is 20 yards wide, and then it opens up into thick bedding on both sides of it. So I put the blind in there just to bow hunt him, on any wind direction. Basically, if I could get in, I could sit there with the blind windows closed and hunt the deer on any wind. His core was so small that if I could just catch him between does using that pinch, I'd kill him with my bow. Well, I only hunted the set once or the blind once, and I saw him, and he was locked on a doe all night. And I watched him till dark. And that was actually the night Matt killed that big giant there on the farm. But where I'm going with that was, like, when she shot that 7.5-year-old buck, like, we moved in that night, got in that blind, that particular blind, and then cell cameras were going off, and Johnson was all over. I mean, he was on 3 cell cameras that night in an hour. And then all of a sudden a doe pops in at the scrape. And mind you, like, this is such a tight pinch that when you first see the deer, they're at 20 yards. So the doe pops in at 20 yards of the scrape, and then she starts walking by us cautiously at 14 yards, just kind of walking by. And then all of a sudden she's like, buck, buck, buck. And I look up, and there he's standing at 20 yards, and he actually took off running after the doe, and I actually stopped him, and I just told her, I was like, you got to be ready. And she was ready because she shot the deer at 14 yards with a rifle, and he piled up at like 40 yards. So it was an in-your-face, quick, cool hunt. But where I'm going with that was, after she shot the deer, she got in my lap and she hugged me, and she was shaking, and she said, thank you for making me pass that 4.5-year-old.
Yeah.
So she said, I never would have saw that or experienced a hunt like that, because she's never experienced a in-your-face rut hunt. Like, we're usually in blinds on food plots, and I mean, the girls can all attest to that, but like, we're usually in banks blinds on food plots where the girls can see, they're comfortable, and make good shots, and see some stuff. But that was a complete different style of hunt that she'd never experienced before. So
yeah,
made me feel pretty good. I mean, I was excited for her.
For sure. Lee was giving me grief earlier this year because he was like, I told him I took my son hunting one night, and I was like, yeah. I realized it was his first time in a tree stand. He's 7, but it was his first time in a tree stand because I got a lot of banks blinds all over the place. And then, like, it's just convenient to toss them up in those. You can see a bunch of deer, you're over food and all that kind of stuff. And so we waddled up into a tree stand, and like, all we had was like 4 does come like directly underneath us. But he was just geeked because he's like, they come right underneath you. Like, this is crazy. Yeah. He's like, he just hadn't experienced that setup yet, where there's like, you're in a tree and they're right there, and it's just a different game. So, but he killed, like, Lee and I have been kind of talking about this a bunch this season.
That's why I asked Steven this question too, because you guys I feel like are on the same page, and
I'm not on the same page as this man. Well, sorry, I am not putting my name saying I'm killing 7.5-year-old deer, but he was 5, and I took him out, and it was we have an early youth season. And we had a really nice 3.5-year-old 8 step out, and he's 5, and he dumped that deer, and then he's just been like flying high. But like you said, what resonated with me, Steven, is that you said to each his own, because my oldest son, a buck walks out into a food plot, just a 1.5-year-old, he's super excited. He wants to shoot it. I said, rip it. Go for it. It's your first deer. He's 9. I was like, go for it. You want to shoot it? And he had so much fun, and we had a great time with that, and let him kill that deer. And, but now my middle son, who was able to kill that, 3.5-year-old deer, he just looks up and he's like, nope, too small. So like, he's already like, he doesn't even like pick his head up. Yeah, a 2.5-year-old deer. There's no way. Like, I can't. I was like kind of begging him the other day to shoot one, just because it was like this 6 that looked all dumb, and I was like, just shoot it so I can punch your tag, so I don't have to take you anymore. But
out of his misery.
Yeah, just put that deer down, and then we don't have to be toting all these tripods around, and I don't have to be setting your gear up all this time and asking if you want to hunt, and him going back and forth and stuff. So, yeah, no, but it's interesting. They automatically just kind of do their own thing and what they're going to do. But I did joke the other day. I told them, I was like, once they start hunting on their own, I was like, I'm one of the farms, I'm pulling down everything, and you guys are on your own. I'm like, you are going to go figure it back out like I had to. Like, everything's coming off of it. You want my help? I'll give you some pointers and stuff like that, but y'all can plant the food plots and do all the stuff, and, you'll see how it's like when all that stuff's out of there, and you got to go put it back up and figure it out on your own. So, yeah,
complete different game. Isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. So,
yeah, I think it's weird. You look at, like, so I don't know. I don't want to speak for Missouri, but I feel like it was probably in the same boat as like Michigan at some point, is where like back in the day, like you were just going deer hunting. You weren't growing deer. You weren't passing deer. You weren't trying to get them to a certain age. And I'm curious, like in the future, like, again, like nothing wrong with either way. Like I think if a kid wants to shoot a deer, let them shoot a deer. And I think that's like your story of your daughter passing a 4-year-old and saying, having that experience of like, that was a big deer and I kind of wanted to shoot that, like deep down. That's probably what she was feeling. And then having a 7-year-old deer, having that experience, shooting that deer, and then walking up to it and seeing like the difference and why you pass those 4-year-olds, I think is very unique. And I think it's like that's what's happening in the outdoor industry. And like a lot of people look at it as like it's a bad thing that people are trying to, grow these deer to a certain age. But at the same time, like that's what I always tell people when they always tell me like, why are you passing deer? Why are you passing deer? Because that experience is different with a mature animal than it is a younger deer. So I think it's cool. And like, that's what, like you always talk about hunter progression. People need these experiences to get them to hunter progression and like continue to, like, I want to say, challenge themselves to continuously harvest more mature deer. Yeah. So it's cool. Like I said, I'm pretty sure my daughter, first time out, I know the first couple times out, like literally any deer that walks in front of her, I'm just going to say, shoot it. Let her have it. And I'm going to scream, and we're both going to scream, and we're going to hug. Yeah. But yeah. And again,
as you should.
Yeah. To each their own. So I want to get into a little bit of land here, land talk. I think I really wanted to bring you on this conversation with us because I was fortunate enough. I've known you for quite a while, and I've got to see your growth through the industry. You used to be it's not a lineman.
That's right.
It was a lineman. Yep. So yeah,
I was a lineman for a telephone company.
You were a lineman for a telephone company, and then you got connected with Paul Sawyer, who is one of the founders of Whitetail Properties, and you started working with him more on the habitat side more than anything, correct?
Yep, farm setup.
Yep. So you were more or less his habitat manager for the longest time, and then you've worked your way into this position that you're in now, where you're the one helping other people buy their farms, set up their farms, and giving them advice along the way. So it's been a really cool progression to watch from the outside, and I think you're gonna have a lot of good insight on this. But like, let's start off with you see this on a regular basis. If a person calls you and says, "Hey, I want to buy a farm," I've actually just had this recent conversation with you. I want to buy a farm. Obviously, I can't afford a big, beautiful luxury farm, turnkey, whatever. So how do people get to that spot where they're in a position to purchase their first farm? Like what advice do you like give people to say, like, do you tell them to save up till they get that 150 acre farm where they can enjoy it for the rest of their lives? Or is it a stepping stone to like 10 acres, sell it, 20 acres, sell it, 50 acres, sell it?
Well, from what I've seen, over the years, I mean, I think I say this a lot, but to each their own, but from what I've seen, land's not getting cheaper. Right now I feel like in Mercer County and some of the counties I work here in northern Missouri, we're kind of plateaued and we're just at a standstill with prices. Bottom ground, tillable, still selling really well. It's up there. But as far as rec farms, I mean, I think the last couple of years they've been, pretty flat. We kind of plateaued right there and they've kind of reached it now. Who knows what they'll do? But I tell everyone, hey, start where you're comfortable. You got to put back some money for a down payment, of course, and then try to find a farm that, either that you can put in a little sweat equity and fix up, turn into some tillable, some CRP, maybe some, if you're a big hunter, if it's got 40 acres of timber on it and you want to do a select cut, and maybe you put 10 grand in your pocket from trees, all while you're increasing the timber, the timber overall for a hunting standpoint, thickening up the ground floor. You take some of those trees out, canopy opens up, sunlight comes in, it blows up the timber floor, gives it more cover, gives more browse and 90% protein to the deer, right there at their level. And then you do some TSI in that mix. And so I'm kind of getting in the weeds there, but I say try to find a farm that fits your budget, that doesn't put a strain on you first, and then fix it up. But what a lot of guys want to do, and it's hard to find a farm right now you're going to get a deal on. I mean, just going to be honest with you. I mean, anything right now, we're meeting with sellers every week, and honestly, their expectations are up here when we have, 20 comps that suggest that the land should sell here, right? So that's kind of a struggle that Jeff and I are dealing with every single day right now is just, they think the land's worth a lot more. I mean, maybe Jed down the road sold his 120 for 6,200 an acre. But maybe what they don't know is that the neighbor that joins Jed's piece owns 450 and he's had it for 20 years and he's been killing 160s plus on it. And he didn't want Jed's 120 to get away, so we're really where the ground might've been worth 5,000 an acre. Jed's like, listen, I've got to lock it up. So I'll pay 6,200 an acre to add that to it, because really it kind of just goes across the board, and flattens out. If maybe Jed, the neighbor there on the 400 got his bought for 3,000 an acre, and then he paid 6,200 an acre for this 120. Well, now, maybe he only has 4,000 an acre across the whole thing, spread out. So I say everyone start where they're comfortable, save up money for a down payment so you're not in a pinch, and try to find a farm you can maybe get a deal on and then put some work into yourself. But the biggest thing is a lot of guys want to buy farms, fix them up within 6 months, and then flip them and sell them real quick. Really hard to do in the same market, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, what's cool about the real estate market is you want ebb and flow. You kind of want that up and down. You want land to sell at 5,500, and then, a year down the road, you want to sell at 4,800, and then you want it to go back up to 5,200 an acre or 5,600 an acre, and then the next year or so, you want it to go down to 5,000 an acre, because that's what makes your buyers. That's what gets your cash buyers in there. That's what gets your blue collars buying land. That's what gets people borrowing money. That's what gets people spending cash and investing. You kind of want that ebb and flow because it moves along, and that's kind of what we look for. But I'd say try to find a farm that you can buy right, put some money into, keep for 2 or 3 years, set it up really nice, put some deer history on it, and then there's all kinds of buyers looking for farms they don't have to do work on. I mean, we can list a 60-acre farm that's completely dialed with blinds and deer history and food plots and alfalfa and clover plots or whatever there is. The timber improvements already done, the TSI is done. Those farms usually sell before we even hit the market. I mean, they're usually gone. So the ones that don't sell before they hit the market are the ones with that had just been bought and they're trying to flip them immediately. Or they are the farm that the sellers have priced $1,000 above market, and we went through all of our buyers, and said, hey, this could be a really cool farm. But again, you're telling them this could be a really good farm. Right. You're paying $1,000 over market for it, and you've got to do all this stuff to it. And in the end, you're probably still going to be, it's still going to be worth less than what you paid for it, most likely, so you really got to identify those right properties that you want to, fix up and do some sweat equity and build the history on. Does that answer your question at all?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. So with that, sorry, I kind of might take this in a little bit different direction, but with like the flipping and over the years, you seeing, one of the challenges that I have on a regular basis is looking at comps in certain areas. Obviously, each region of the country is different and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. But the comp that always gets me is like, you can throw a pretty easy price on for me, like a 3-bedroom house, a farmhouse, you know what I mean? All that kind of stuff. But a lot of times when you're getting into bigger farms and bigger tracts, like the buildings kind of get swept away. And, so when you're looking at stuff, and looking at buildings and stuff like that, what do people want from a comp standpoint, or what do guys want from a camp standpoint for like a cabin? You know what I mean? If a guy's going to put a hunting cabin on it, what would you recommend to toss up for a hunting cabin?
200,000, 250. And this is what I would say. If you overbuild, you're now looking for a specific buyer.
Yeah, right.
Because in some cases you have more money in the house than you have the farm, depending on the acre size, which most people don't want that. Generally speaking, most people want a nice, clean, comfortable camp they can come into, put their bags in their room, jump in the bed, watch some TV, jump in the shower, take a shower, run out to the garage, jump on the buggy and go hunt.
Yeah.
So I would say, like a, 32 by 70 building, if you had, maybe a 32 by 20 or 32 by 30 living space, and then you had the rest of it like a garage.
Yeah.
I think it's really important for people to be able, especially if they traveled all day, right? Hell, you got guys who are driving 10 hours up here to hunt, and come to their cabin or come to their farm to hunt. Let them drive their truck into the garage and park it. And then if it's raining outside, they're inside the garage or unpacking their gear. They're kind of getting organized and then they're going in the house and, getting ready to go hunt or whatever. I just think, $250,000 is a good, solid investment as far as a cabin, because that's not out of reach for a lot of people. Let's face it. Land market these days it's tough. It's high. Land's high. It's expensive. I'll be the first to admit it. Before COVID, we're selling farms up here for, $2,100 to $2,400 an acre for combination farms, and I'm selling the same farms today in Mercer County for over $5,000 an acre.
Yeah, I sold a piece for $10,000 an acre this year, 80 for $10,000 an acre, and I was just like, man. And I never thought I'd let that farm go, but when somebody's offering you that kind of money on it, you got it. And now I'm still kind of playing catch up, trying to replace that thing, and I'm like, this is like, yeah. It's not that I regret letting it go, but you can't say no. I couldn't say no to that. You know what I mean? That stuff's just crazy.
Yeah, and that's where I was going is there's buyers for every single parcel of ground that comes available. It might be the guy who works 70 hours a week, who's putting all of his change in a quarter in a jar, a mason jar. It might be someone who works a 40-hour week and doesn't have any kids that has been saving for, 3 years for a down payment for a property out of state. It might be somebody, who come into some money, somehow versus, maybe it was, they were left some money with relatives or something like that or whatever, and they want to go buy a farm for investment. There's just all sorts of buyers for all sorts of ground. And what I've seen lately is there's a lot of cash buyers.
Yeah.
Last 2 years, it's almost been all cash buyers.
Yeah. Well, that's it seems like, if anything that I've bought and looked at personally myself and stuff like that, it's like, if you're not throwing a cash offer at it, you're probably not going to get it because somebody else is, you know what I mean? And so and that cash is king thing has really come back from it when it comes to buying dirt like this, because it's just like, this year, one offer that I made, it was substantially less, but it was cash with no, it had a house on it, no inspections, no, none of this stuff. We want to close it in 12 days. And that dude just like, I knew it had some hair on it. And so I knew he just wanted to get out of it. And he was like, he's going to say yes to that because I'm going to take the risk and it's now off of him. You know what I mean? And so he moves on and, but it is wild just to see that, I don't know, any of the people that I associate with and my clients, from, designing people's hunting ground, they have cash. They have they're set up in a spot right now where they're just going well, this is what I can buy. And it's like, we're not even looking for a mortgage. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, it's $1 million piece of property, a couple $1 million piece of property. And they're like, yeah, I'm just going to go buy it. And it's like, Well, that's nice. That's nice. Like, I don't have that. That's
Congratulations to them, right? Because, as you know, all of this stuff, I mean, it's all, we're pretty lucky to be able to do all this stuff. I mean, from setting farms up to selling farms to advising clients. I mean, it's a luxury. You know, not every Tom, Dick, and Harry can run out there and buy a farm. A lot of Tom, Dick, and Harrys want to go buy a farm and probably never will, right? I mean, a lot of guys, it's the biggest investment they're going to make in their life. And I don't take that lightly because I was one of them. You know, there was a time in my life, I mean, and I don't personally own like a farm myself. We've got an office in town. We've got a place over in Unionville at the lake. We've got this place here, you know, but like I've got a few leases that I've had for years, and I've bought and sold a couple of farms over the last 3 years, you know, that were good farms. And, but whenever I went into real estate full time, my partner and I were talking, and he said, you know, you've got to, you know, there's a difference between being an agent and a flipper, you know, because, and here's where I'm going with that. Like, I had a 160 Paul and I owned together. We killed some really good deer off of it. It came available before I became a full-time real estate agent, and we sold it and made some good money on it. And we killed some good deer on it, you know, along the way when we had it. And then I ended up buying another piece that was an 80 that was a clean slate, and I fixed it all up myself. And I had a buyer come to me, and he bought it. It was a beautiful farm. And we rolled that money and bought a building, an office in town, originally for my real estate, you know, face in Princeton. And that's what we have now. But like a lot of guys, it's a sacrifice is where I was going with that. It's a sacrifice. I mean, it's not like you're just going to wake up one morning for the average guy and say, I'm going to go buy 40 acres or 60 acres somewhere. In most cases, this has been planned out for several years. They've been, you know, working for it. They've been setting back money. They've been cutting money. Maybe they didn't buy Hostess Twinkies this week, you know, because they want to take that $3 and put in the lamb pocket over here. Or maybe they didn't take that vacation with their family, you know, last year because they wanted to take that $3,000 and put over here in the down payment bucket. I mean, it's not getting any easier with land prices and availability right now. I mean, so I take it very seriously when I'm dealing with clients, you know, that if they come to me looking for properties, you know, I want to find the property they're looking for. I don't want to sell them a farm. It does me no good just to sell a guy a farm and say, here you go. I mean, I was told there was some 150s killed on this farm, and you and your family have fun, you know, good luck. I don't want to do that. I mean, if he tells me, hey, I want a house on it, you know, 2 bedrooms, because I got 2 kids and my wife, and you know, I'm looking to shoot 150 inch, 160 inch deer every other year, maybe. I want a pond on it. I want some timber. I want some income for food. I want to find what he's looking for, you know, because what I don't want is him or someone to buy a farm and then be dissatisfied with it, and then be like, well, he basically just sold me a farm to sell me a farm. I really want to find people what they're looking for, so they're genuinely happy, because I know they've spent so much time and money and effort to get to that point. I just want to get them what they want, you know?
Yeah. Do you think so? Like, let's go back to buying your first farm. Yep. What are some of like the key features that somebody needs to be really thinking about because that's again where I'm at. Eventually I want to buy my new farm, and right now I'm just constantly watching Zillow, seeing what buys, what sells, how fast it sells, what it's going for an acre. But like, I always struggle with, like, it's a little bit different where you are because you're working with naturally larger parcels. Here in Michigan, it's like broke up into a lot of 20s, a lot of 40s, you know, and 80s, a pretty decent chunk around here. But as far as like, when you're looking on Zillow, let's say, and a smaller parcel pops up, and you're thinking, I want to flip that in a couple of years, what are major things that you need to really consider or think about, besides, like, you know, you talked about the timber already, like if you can get a little ROI on the timber, but what are some other key features that you're looking for? Is, again, you're buying it for a an investment to go larger?
Yeah, so I think you really want to look for proximity to a nice town that's got a grocery store.
Yeah.
Something where, if your wife comes up with you, or your wife and kids come up and they want to run to the store and grab stuff for the afternoon or whatever, they've got an option within 20, 30 minutes to go grab something to eat. I think you need to look for utilities. I think it's important to find a piece that's got power, water, and most places out here where I'm from anyway. I mean, when I worked for the phone company, the government gave a grant to put fiber optic, all the way across these rural areas. So everything where I'm in North Missouri, we pretty much got high-speed fiber internet everywhere.
See,
I mean,
that's surprised. I'm surprised that you say having power. So is it power at the property or power that goes past?
So at least available, at least along the road or something.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's one thing I never considered.
That power and water can be expensive. I mean, I was checking some prices for a guy yesterday that's looking at a piece I've got for sale, and it's $2,000 just to set the meter, and the water's right there at the farm. I mean, it's on the farm. I mean, it comes along his side, so it's still going to cost $2,000 just to set a water meter there, so you can have a hydrant or build a little cabin there and have rural water.
Is that something that you can look at as far as getting? Let's say you buy a 40-acre piece of property, doesn't have water or power to it. Can you look at that as far as saying, if I get this set up, I've already put equity into the ground?
100%.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, let's say you buy one that doesn't have power or water on it, and you bring the water in. Maybe you spend, $3,500 to bring power and water onto the farm, and then let's say you don't build a cabin. Let's just say you've got the water meter there and you've got power there ready to go. And then something else I look for is like overgrown pasture ground. I mean, if you're looking for a farm to take to the next level, most of our ground across North Missouri is overgrown pasture ground. Maybe 100 years ago it was all pasture land, and now it's overgrown. It's timber, it's cedars, it's hedge, it's whatever. But if you can find some of those overgrown pasture farms that they're kind of overlooked as far as deer, because a lot of times during the rut, some of those mature bucks will just take a doe and pocket them straight over to an old brushy pasture farm that no one, maybe the farmer's in there driving through on his tractor or his truck once a day or twice a day, looking, but over there in that ditch in the middle of the farm, there could be a 170 laying there with a doe, and no one's ever in there. It's wide open, but kind of patchy, brushy, hedgy, cedar tree stuff everywhere. But those are the kind of farms I like because it doesn't take a guy a lot to go in there with a chainsaw or maybe rent a skid steer with a tree puller for a weekend and, spend $1,000, and go in there and pull all the cedars and trees and small stuff and open all that shrubby stuff into income. I mean, you might have, let's say you have a 20-acre field that's just overgrown, patchy, and you can go in there real quick and clean it up in a weekend. And then, your next step is you probably want to try to figure out to get income on that as far as row crop or maybe plant some alfalfa or, whatever you want to do. You can't really do CRP the first year. You have to have at least there's a window of years that you have to have it in tillable production before you can roll into CRP on the new stuff. So you need to put it in row crop first if you want to ever enroll it in CRP. Now, I tell people that my favorite combination to maximize the income on a property is to clean the farm up, put it all in tillable, and then as soon as you can enroll it in CRP, if it's a farm that doesn't have very much cover on it, and maybe it's got ditches just coming up everywhere into the tillable ground, then I like to do like 60 to 90 foot buffers of CRP all the way around all the ditches and draws. One, that's usually the steepest ground, right? Coming over the top of the hill, dropping down to the ditch. If you don't have a lot of cover on the farm, that's where a lot of your deer are going to travel. They're going to come up the ditches. They're going to come up the ditch, then come out to the crops. They're going to come out where the ditch comes down and makes a bend. They're going to come out in that inside corner. But if you give them that edge, it thickens up some bedding close to food. It gives you a little security on your entrance and exit. especially if it's like a CP2, like a native grass mix that gets 6 foot tall, but first and foremost, I think it's important because your most desirable tillable ground is a hill ground that washes. And if you can get a crop year in there where it's no till and then put CRP buffers on it, you get paid for the CRP buffers. That's enhancing your bedding and your cover for your farm. But it's also your farmer's paying up a little bit on your cash rent because he's only farming the best quality dirt now, which is up on top of the hill. So it might have taken your farm from, bear with me here. Maybe it was only 20 acres tillable and you took out 10 for buffers, but now he's farming 10 acres and it's the best quality dirt throughout the farm. It's none of the hill stuff that's eroding. It's none of the clay. It's none of that. It's the hilltop stuff, and it's a little quality dirt. So you actually maximize your property as far as cover for holding power for your deer, entrance and exit for yourself to hunt, maximize your income as far as CRP, and you up your crop income a little bit, and you diversify your farm. I think the key still in a really good hunting farm is diversity. And I have clients ask me all the time, what do I need to do to my farm, to help hold and kill some of these deer? And I said, well, honestly, you need to do what your neighbors aren't doing. If your neighbors aren't doing timber improvement, you need to. If your neighbors only have food plots and ag fields and stuff like that, unmanaged timber, then I would start with, doing a select cut of your timber, and then doing some TSI and some bedding pockets. And then I would start with, putting in some water holes, next. Like, I'm a huge believer in water holes now. Like, even before I started dealing with Bob and Mitch Banks and working with them guys and being good friends, I think Bob and them came to Mercer County and killed 3 deer over 170 in the first few years they came up here and hunted that property.
I can still picture that property when they bought it.
Dude, like, Bob went into a hilltop banks blind with a water hole and a food plot. And I'm talking a hilltop blind, all CRP around him. And then 250 yards down is a big ditch that runs quite a ways to the east. And I'll never forget the story when Mitch and him were telling us, but like, he went in there like October 22nd or 24th or whatever it was. And he went straight to his blind, jumped up in it, and he knew there was a good buck in there using it. And it was warm that day. It was like 70 some degrees. And the first deer he saw was the deer he was after. The deer was at 400 yards, came down the ditch, turned, and just beeline directly to him, and the deer went straight to water. Deer didn't care about the food that was growing there or whatever. Right then, the deer got out of his bed at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, marched 400 yards, and went straight to water. And the water was at 20 yards from Bob, so
I think I was like 800 yards to the north in the timber at that point.
I think you may have been.
Yeah, I think I literally was.
Yeah, I think you may have been. Yeah, but the funny thing about that is like, man, that's happened like 3 or 4 times now since they've had that farm and implemented the water tanks or the water holes or whatever they're using there. It's the Banks Wild Water, but it's just something completely overlooked. Especially now. I feel like every single food plot I create now, I put a water hole within blind distance, or tree stand distance, whatever I'm setting it up for. But I do the trifecta deal. I try to make a water hole with a scrape tree and a blind, and then it gives them food, it gives them water, it gives them something to play with as far as scent checking for other deer that's in the area, and it puts them right in position for my daughters and I, and I need them close if I'm shooting them with a bow. So I try to keep everything 20 and in.
Shoot.
Yeah, I'm terrible. Not a good shot.
So is a pond a potential good investment to put on a piece of property? Or not really?
Yeah. To be honest with you, a lot of these farms have ponds.
Yeah, I guess Missouri is stacked with them.
Well, personally, I always when I'm looking at real estate, I personally am not excited whenever I see a pond on a piece of property. One, because somebody's going to pay more money for that because they want the pond. I don't want a pond, especially when I have it's like a 10-acre pond or like a 3-acre pond. It's chewing up my deer real estate. And so I'm not super excited about that. Like a water hole, small, somebody went in there with a backhoe and dug a pond, water hole thing. Okay, I'm kind of excited about that. And it's like, if it's in the right spot and it's worth doing it. But oftentimes you just see pond advertised and I'm like, all right, now my price per acre just went up because there's a pond and it's stocked and somebody took the time and then dug that there. For me personally, it's like, I'm not all that interested in, especially when I'm looking at a 40, 80 or 60 acre piece of property. And now I got 3 acres getting chewed up by a pond, or even an acre getting chewed up by a pond, where I could have, that could just be tillable ground and I don't have to pay for that pond.
Yeah. I guess that makes sense. Missouri is different in that aspect because, to your point earlier, it was all cow pasture. So everybody already put their ponds into.
They have to have water ponds.
Yeah. And I think you're also, you're really, you're looking for the certain buyer. I mean, there's people like, yourself, you're like, I don't care if I got a pond or whatever. I can dig a water hole and I can do just fine for my purpose. But a lot of the ponds in Missouri, I mean, we're rolly terrain. We've got pretty diverse property, up here. And I feel like a lot of the ponds are in low area ditches. And I think that's only helping with the erosion issues in places, but also I feel like if you're thinking you're going to sell that, I mean, if you have a pond that's mowed up, dam, stocked, like you said, it's cleaned up where you can walk around it and you can fish around it, man, there's buyers for every day. I mean, there's buyers who aren't just looking to shoot 150, 60-inch deer. There's buyers who's looking to literally get out of the city and come up here and stay at the place and fish with the kids and go ride their four-wheelers and camp down by the pond in a tent with the kids, So I think there's definitely a place for a pond, and I think it depends on who your buyer is, who you're trying to attract. If you're looking for a serious deer hunt, you don't have to have a pond if you got water holes, but water is super important. So I would rather have a pond of some sort than probably nothing at all. Yeah. Honestly, on a deer farm.
Yeah, for sure.
Creek.
Going back to the amenities for a minute, what have you seen? Because I personally am just kind of dealing with this right now from an off-grid cabin setup. What does that fetch for, solar panels, solar generator type stuff, water collection, all that kind of stuff? Do you see much of that out there in Missouri? No, not a lot. We have a lot of guys who are from, Wisconsin, Minnesota, and those guys are really, well, even Michigan, those guys, you guys are really good at winterizing stuff, right? Yeah.
So they'll build a new house, but then they've got clean outs on everything, right? Yeah. So they can, before they leave, they just turn a valve, drain the lines and shut the valve and they're gone, and so you see that, but we're pretty fortunate up here that we really have rural water, power, and fiber pretty much everywhere figuratively speaking, but the majority, there's a lot of that here and it's available. So there's not a whole lot of off-grid stuff. Now I've seen a lot of stuff. I just sold a farm in Sullivan County here not very long ago. And that guy had a little cabin on it and it had a portable generator hookup.
Yeah.
So what he would do is just bring his generator with him every time, set it in this building. And then he just popped these 2 wires on it, powered the cabin, and gave him electricity, which was fine. He took the generator with him, so someone else had to bring their own generator when they came back.
That's funny that's not common there because literally
that's Michigan, what all we do in Kentucky, all that, everything's set up. My cabin down in Kentucky is a solar. You got solar panels on the back of it, and then I have a solar generator that's just basically an inverter, power bank, or whatever. And I bring it here and I charge it, and we have about probably 3 to 4 days. It's a 50-pound unit. But you plug that inside the cabin. Once we get there, lights, TV, everything's running off of that. You got about 4 days, 3.5, 4 days, depending on what you're doing in there. With electricity, and then you get a good sunny day, it goes back to full charge just in one sunny day. And so you can live off of that pretty easy, running fans and all that kind of stuff. So it feels as though you got electricity, but it's not, and then
especially if you're just popping in for a few days at a time and a week here and 4 days here or 2 days there.
Yeah.
That's pretty
and it's pretty cool because you're in a very remote there's no one nearby. I mean, I literally had it quoted to get electricity run back there, and they wanted $40K. To run power,
You didn't do it?
I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I was trying to sell Lee, but I couldn't, you know what I mean? They said I couldn't sell him. So
you don't get that much from me.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd even get $40K for him. So
that's funny that we're on this topic, because I want to, when you look at Missouri, I always think of like Missouri gets a lot of spotlight now, rightfully so, for when it comes to whitetail, because you have over-the-counter tags, reasonable price, and can a non-resident still kill 2?
Yeah.
So you can get $2.
Why's it got to be so far away?
I've asked Stephen many times to come closer.
I look at Missouri land all the time, and I'm like, my wife's not going 10 hours. She's not going 9 hours. Like, I mean, you're right there, though. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's just so far.
Yeah, no, I get it. I've had that battle. Stephen, there's a farm. So how many years? I've known Stephen for 10, 12 years, and he's been more than gracious enough to like help me get in that area to start hunting. My father and I got was it a 40-acre timber lease? Mm-hmm. So we had a lease. I think we actually only went down there once to hunt it.
I think you did.
Yeah. And saw a few deer, nice deer, passed a couple of deer. I don't know why we didn't go back there more that year, but had that. And then Steven called us like a few months later. He's like, hey, that guy's going to sell that property. And I was like, Dad, buy it, Dad. He's like, no, that's a lot of money. And what was probably going for $2,000 an acre.
Yeah.
Gosh, don't tell me about stories.
No, this is really bad. Since we leased that and it came on for sale, how many times have you sold that particular piece of property now? Are you allowed to say?
We're going to get into this I think 6 times.
6 times. And what do you like right now? What is that 40-acre timber chunk like per acre? What would somebody pay for that right now?
Current comps I've got right now for timber, I mean, $51.50 an acre. I mean, for all solid timber.
Man, you look at that. This was probably 6 years ago when we had the lease. So like, that's good return on investment.
By the grace of God alone, because I had a passion for hunting. Like, have I ever done well outside of work? Because it was just like I really wanted to go hunting, and I bought a piece of 18-acre piece of land, and it tripled, quadrupled in value. And it was like, well, I love hunting, so I'm going to buy this 40, and it tripled and quadrupled in value. And so it was like I had nothing. Like, there's no wisdom that happened. It was all happenstance and by the grace of God. Like, it was the good Lord watching out for me for whatever reason. I mean, I just thank him every day for it, because I thank him for Jesus, because there's nothing else. I can't earn my way. I can't do anything other than to thank him for it, because I did nothing, you know what I mean? And so it's like, at this point, that's all I can look at it. Like, people ask me, like, how do you do it? How do you figure it out? I was like, praise Jesus, because it worked out for me. Like,
moral of the story, buy dirt and it's
probably gonna work out. And so like we were talking to Chris about that the other day, and he was like, I wish we would have just bought some of those farms, and it's like, yeah, there's been a lot of them that I've seen go by that I'm like, whew, I should have grabbed a hold of that one. And I got one right now that somebody just sent me in Northern Illinois, and I'm like, whew, that's a big number, but I should probably grab a hold of that one, because it's got a lot of tillable on it, and that's getting really hard to come by these days, and there's really good hunting pockets in there. And so it's like, I have a feeling 3 years from now I'll be just fine if I buy it. Right now I have no idea how I'll do it, but
Well, you know what they say? They say, and I hear it a lot, but like, when should we buy a farm? I'm like, well, yesterday.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously. I mean, and I don't say that lightly. I mean, I say that because I've been doing this full time for 3 years. I've been doing it part time and full time collectively for 8 years now, I believe. And I mean, land's always appreciated. It's always gone up. It's always gone up. Sometimes it's been big leaps. Sometimes it's been minute, but it's always gone up.
What is the market doing right now? Like, as far as people buying and selling, is it like you said, you're in like a stagnant part? Is it like, is it time to buy?
It's been slow. I'm not going to lie. It's been slow the last couple months. But with that being said, the last week and a half, Jeff and I's phone's been blowing up. I've hunted this year some, I've bow hunted quite a bit and hunted with the girls, and usually in deer season, like, we're not that busy really. We usually slow down a little bit in the summertime, and then we get a little bit of a rush like around September. But this September, we didn't have that rush for whatever reason. I don't know if I honestly think it was interest rates. I think interest rates were so high. I think we had super hot weather up here with no rain, and I think a lot of stuff combined. There was just not the shoppers this year in the summertime and early fall.
Did you have the sellers though? So you didn't have the shopper? No. So people weren't buying or selling.
No one was. The phone was dead. We were reaching out, connecting with old buyers and sellers, talking, just making conversation, but like the new ones weren't coming, and I'm not sure. I don't know what the deal was, to be honest with you. I'm not sure. And it might have had something to do with the government shutdown.
Yeah.
Everyone, shit, I had over 100 clients that were getting CRP payments and didn't even get paid until last week. They were supposed to be paid in September. So I think that combined with, the government shutdown, uncertainty, interest rates being so high, maybe it caught up with a lot of the cash guys, that were buying. I do know, I've talked to a lot of guys recently and said, well, the price of land right now and commodities down and what people are paying for cash rent in some of these places, we can make more money investing over here versus over there. And I get that 100%. I do. But I feel like December through May, Jeff and I do probably 60 to 70% of our business. Okay. That's our busiest time. And it picked up literally just a week and a half ago. And I've got I think Jeff and I have 4 or 5 new listings coming with, a couple, 2 or 3 different auctions coming. And we've got a couple deals right now that we're selling that won't even ever hit the market. They're just going to be sold, and they're really good ones. And that's the way the really good ones go. In most cases, if we have a really good farm that comes to us that's, got income, it's got huntability, it's in the right neighborhood, we make a few phone calls and the farm's gone before it ever hits the open market. We probably do 10 or 15 of those a year, I would say. I think we sold, I just had our marketing meeting a couple of days ago in Illinois. I think we sold 50 some farms last year. The year before we sold 70 some. And I think last year we had, I would say 10 pocket listing farms that never hit the open market that we sold that no one ever saw until they went under contract.
Yeah.
So the really good farms just sell before they hit the open market.
Well, like he said, like Steven said, though, like, when's a good time? It's like, I always look at it as like, if the Lord provides and it's like you have it, then,
that's what I was going to say.
Yep. If you have it, then do it. If you don't, then don't. And we were talking about this the other day, Lee, about like, when I get emotional about a farm, that's when I know I need to step away from a farm. When I'm like, I got to get this, and I'm like, and I'm starting to figure things out, because that's when I look at from going from want to coveting. And so like the Lord tells me not to covet things. And like, I've had this conversation with multiple folks, but it's like, I can tell when I'm too jazzed about something and all I can think about is how to get this figured out. And like, I'm already starting to look at like all the details of how I'm going to work this farm and draw it. Selling kids, selling leads, selling things like that I shouldn't be talking about selling and joking about. But when I'm getting that far into it, I've clearly crossed the line there. And that's when I'm just like, I got to rip cord and I got to pull out of this thing and be just done. And it's worked for me thus far of just like, really trying to not sear my conscience and listen to my conscience and just be like, okay, yeah, I'd like to have that farm, but that's not the time now. There was one here in Michigan yesterday that I was getting ready to go boot track on Friday, and I was super excited about it. And I was like, all right, this is the number I'm going to offer. I'm here. Okay, if it meets these requirements, this is what I'm going to do. And I was like, Lord, if it's not the right farm, make it crystal clear. I don't want to go drive up there and walk it and all that kind of stuff. And the realtor texted me back, and she's like, we already have a cash buyer. And I was like, thank you, Lord. Like, praise God.
There's my sign.
There's my sign. That's their farm. That's going to be great. I was excited about it. It was like, but I was like, nope, not the one. And even if she calls back and says, well, it's still available, it didn't work out or whatever, I ain't going to try to go reopen that can of worms. It's just, it is what it is. So,
yep. I think I'd rather sell somebody half the farm they're looking for, and have them be comfortable than have someone force it, and put themselves in a situation. Because, and I say that for them and for me, honestly, because if they bootstrap themselves going into it, because they force, you don't want to force it, like you're talking, if it doesn't feel right and you're too connected to it, or I've got to get this done, I got to figure out a way, how can I do this? If you're forcing it, it's probably not right anyway, honestly. But if a guy, let's say he buys an 80-acre farm and he's strapped, he is strapped. He's trying to make the payments and doing all that. And, him and his wife are at each other a little bit over the debt maybe. And that kind of spreads out and the kids see the frustration there, I feel like I would rather sell those guys a 40-acre farm they're completely happy with, that they can afford and be happy and make some memories on, than sell them the 80, even though I would make more money from it. I would rather sell them a smaller farm, sell them something that was manageable for them, than I would sell them the 80, have them be upset, put the stress across the family, and then have to sell, maybe in 6 months and me try to make them whole, because most likely after they pay commission, the farm value hasn't changed any, right? Mm-hmm. In that short of a period, the value of the farm has not gone up, most likely from where they bought it, unless they got a really good buy on it. Now, if the farm is worth 5,000 acre and they paid 4,000 acre for it, then they're golden, right? They're fine. But if they bought it at the market value of the ground, and then in 6 months, they've got to sell it, and you've got 6% commission on top of that, that's tough. That's tough to recoup and make whole. And then that's just more stress on them, So I'd much rather just search for a smaller piece or something that fits them a little better.
So
purchase is a big deal.
It is a big deal. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been window shopping for farms for 2 years, and I who knows when I'll be ready, but it is a big deal. I get like slight anxiety thinking about like you said, that can be the biggest investment in someone's life, and that's a big deal, especially like when you're at the point where I'm at my family. Like, I have 2 girls. Well,
3. You have 3.
Almost 3.
You have 3. You have 3.
I was just thinking
that's a living, breathing child. Well, not breathing, but it's alive.
So I have 3 girls. 2 of them are out of the womb.
Yeah.
But I was thinking that actually next time that we probably talk, I will have 3 girls out of the womb. Yeah.
Well, and that's one of the things that like I love about you, Lee, is that you're a hard charge and you're going to go get it. You're going to set up goals and you're going to go accomplish them. And like, that's one of the things that's drawn me to you is like, I want to help you accomplish that goal as we look at Everland Outdoors and everything that we do here. And as we're like managing land and taking the tools and tricks and stuff like that, it's like, that is what excites me. It's like helping other people accomplish their goals and like going and having fun with it at the same time. It's so much fun when you get to see. That's why I love like setting up other people's property. Like, I don't even care if you don't pay me, because I love when somebody sends me a 170s deer on a 20-acre piece next to a highway where there's a semi truck in the background of their trail camera photos, because like, and they had this dude had an 18-acre piece. He's got like just a really nice Michigan deer that's just standing there, and then he's able to kill it. And he never even had a buck on his farm, or calling that a farm is a stretch, but like, realistic.
No, it is.
It's a farm.
It's a farm.
Yeah. But then, for him to kill that deer, like that's what gets me fired up that's what gets me excited, is like people being able to accomplish those things. And like, it's super cool. And,
I think that's what's so great about land is how it can offer you so much different value rather than just a return on, like if you're buying or selling it. Land truly does is like, it is one of the greatest investments, because you can make money on it, but what you really get out of that land if you want to use it. And
well, it's biblical. It's you will reap what you sow. And so if you sow to the flesh, you will reap to the flesh. And so, but like if you sow to the spirit, and so like if you walk in that truth of like understanding, like you're building into your family, into your kingdom, into God's kingdom by loving and showing the example of hard work pays off into your kids. Like I truly believe that. And so, but all that to be said is if we go back to like a tripod or a stool analogy from the land standpoint, it's like, look at your income. And I think most people don't look at their income as investment into themselves. Like you're investing in yourself and into what you do in your job. And so your job is a revenue stream for your investments. And so it's like, start with that. What is your percentage of your investment that is into yourself that you're making? And so then now make another, draw a little picture. So this has got, let's say you make $150,000 a year. This is your investment into yourself that you're making based on your job. Now, what can I afford for land? Okay, this is the number that I can afford for land. This is what I have for my house and this real estate. And start to put those pieces together. And I don't have like some magical formula. Like I'm not that smart of a dude, but it's just like at the end of the day, it's like, okay, these are just all different pieces of it. And it's like, all right, start out with that 15-acre piece of property. Grab that 15-acre piece of property, make it the best 15-acre piece of property that is out there. And so if it only sells for 5% more than what you bought, that's a decent return. If you're really going to drop it into the market and look at it like that way, like, you know,
it was fun.
And it was fun. And you got to go accomplish some goals. And I truly do believe here in Michigan, you can actually make a pretty big splash on a 15, 20 acre piece of property by what Stephen was saying, outpace your neighbor. I don't have to be smarter than everybody in the world. All I got to do is run faster than the guy next to me with the grizzly bear, right? And so, like, I just got to go faster than him. And that, a lot of times in this day and age, man, I apologize to all those that are listening, but it ain't that hard. Like, nobody really wants to go out there and do anything. They love their death scrolling or whatever they call it, and their Cheetos and doing nothing. And so I do like Cheetos too.
I love Cheetos.
I mean...
Cheetos in a beanbag.
Oh,
I was more of a cheese.
I was just joking about my new office at the ministry I'm a part of. I was like, hey, could you guys get rid of this like file cabinet in here? Because like I got this new big office. I was like, I'm gonna get a beanbag chair and put it in there. And they're like, dude, you're nuts. And I'm like, no, I'm putting a beanbag in here
with Cheetos.
With Cheetos. Yeah. And it's just gonna have orange Cheeto fingers, so no one else sits in it.
That's funny.
So when we look at land, like guys who don't own a piece of property now, or they own a piece of property and looking to get in more, like this is really hard. Again, this is just opinion based because no one knows the market. But from seeing what you're seeing the market do right now, what do you think kind of the outlook is coming? Like, are interest rates going to continue to drop? You think, and that's going to flood the market?
I think that's going to be the I think deciding factor. One of them for sure. I think. So right now, I feel like a lot of the blue collars, and I call blue collars, and I'm one of them, but just the guys who work their asses off every week, right? I mean, the guys who are just busting it, supporting their families, and they don't have the money to put into farms right now, but they're just saving. So I feel like with interest rates being 7.5%, 8%, whatever on a rec farm, I mean, that's tough for someone to spend that kind of money on a farm to go play on, especially if it's 10 hours away, 8 hours away, whatever it may be. I think those guys have been on the sidelines, and I don't blame them. I think they've just been putting money back. I think as the interest rate continues to come down, if it does, it's supposed to come down, then I think those guys can justify taking that money and getting a loan at 6% or 5.5% to buy a piece of ground. I mean, it's not 3% like it was, or 3.5%, but it's at least not 7.5 or 8. So I think those guys can justify it. And then but here's the tricky part. I feel like as interest rates come down, there's a really good chance that availability of properties, I mean, they'll get gobbled up quicker, or the price will go up on them because the demand will be so high. Which, to be honest with you, I hope it doesn't happen. I feel like we're already pretty high. I'd rather see it stay the same and let people buy ground, if they want to. I mean, people are making really good money on farms these days if they've owned them for 10 years, 15 years, 40 years. I mean, they're making killings. So it'd be nice to have some availability and the prices not drive up, but that's just kind of what happens. I mean, I feel like interest rates come down, you get more buyers, land prices go up because availability is not there. Now, if there's interest rates come down and you get a lot of farms, then it's really a buyer's market at that point, because you have so many buyers and you have so many options that you can kind of be selective and, peck around a little bit and try to find that perfect farm. But, I feel like
sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just curious, like in that scenario, it doesn't seem like that's like that last scenario that you paid where there's going to be a lot of things, because most of the people are sitting on, generational 10, 20-year farms. And so they don't really need to sell them. Like,
Right.
it's not like the housing bubble where all of a sudden there's going to be a whole bunch of people that need to let them go. And so they'll wait until it's the highest price. If they're, we talk to some of these old farmers, man, they're like, well, they're blown away when they're talking about $5,000 an acre. You know what I mean? We were kind of joking about it before we started about paying $500 an acre, you know what I mean? For some stuff. And so like, that's my thing, is like, I'm trying to watch that and time that, where it's like that perfect, you're riding that wave up where the interest rates, where interest rates are coming down, but you're riding it. And it's like, there's the time you can strike on that one. Sorry. But
yeah, I agree. I don't know. I feel like it's been tightly held for the last several months. There's not been a lot coming available. I don't know what will change that, unless it's just interest rates coming down and driving more buyers to the market. And I think if you get more buyers, then maybe you will have more sellers, because they think that there'll be more people competing for their property, which would drive the price up on the ground. That's strictly my opinion. I mean, I don't know the future. I don't know, I barely know what happened yesterday, but that's strictly my opinion on it. But we'll see. I mean, we're coming into our busiest time of the season right now. Jeff and I've been rocking the last couple weeks, so I feel like there's going to be some stuff coming available. And Lee, I was actually going to call you. I had some farms come available for you.
Oh, discounted price too, right?
Yeah, good price.
Sure, sweet.
He goes, yeah, sure, Lee, whatever, make it up.
Do you see, is Missouri, is Missouri getting, do you feel like Missouri's getting broke up, parceled off at all recently? Like, are people like taking their 200-acre farm and making it into 2 100-acre farms? Do you see that a lot around that area?
Investor buyers, yes. Yeah, not us. I mean,
yeah.
And I'm not saying not us in a bad way. I'm saying to each their own, again, right? Like, I don't care if you're an investor, I don't care if you're an end user, I don't care if you're a weekend warrior. It doesn't matter. I mean, it don't matter to me whatsoever. But I see some investors buying some ground up, and then if they can get a good buy on it, and then fixing it up, splitting it up into several tracts and selling them off in smaller parcels, to maximize their return on the property, which I get it. If you've got the kind of money to do that and you want to, hey, buddy, I mean, I'm there. I mean, I'll help you find the farm and resell it. So
well,
give me
I hope
a call.
it doesn't happen to you, Steve. I hope that doesn't happen in your area, actually, for your sake. Eventually, Missouri's going to end up being like a 20-acre parcel like
There's
Michigan.
Yeah. I know you guys combat that a lot up there. I mean,
it's just slice and dice. It's just,
it's what, 5 guys to a 20 or something like that.
People are like splicing up 20-acre pieces into 4 5-acre pieces.
Yeah.
Like,
and every single, because of the way that our grid system, our road system works, and that everything is 1 mile squares. And so all of our roads are in one, because we don't have the terrain features. And so all of our roads were in 1 mile squares. And so everything was broken up into the 660s and all that kind of stuff. And so everything, most all farms have at least 2 or 3 farmhouses along the road now, because they sold a couple acre lots along the road and all that kind of stuff. And then they split more of it off of that. But yeah, it just gets wild, because you talk about, guys on, 5 guys on a 20 or on a 40. Like when we come to deer camp season, that we just got through the Orange Army, the numbers are absurd. I mean, in a good way for our state, because there's a whole ton of hunters here and all that kind of stuff. And we just go, but like, you know, I've had a lot of clients that have, you know, a 40-acre tract, and they're like, yeah, we got 8 guys here on opening weekend on 40 acres.
I can't imagine.
And, you know, and so it's like, it's just a gauntlet, and they're having fun, and they're shooting the first spike horn that they see.
And they're texting like, here he comes.
Yeah. And like, I missed him. Oh, I shot him in the butt, and you gotta do the dirty work and get him down. And I'm like, holy cow. Like, that stuff's just crazy, like,
yeah, you should come hunt opening day in Michigan. So.
Yeah, we got a spot for you. It's going to be fun.
But I'm good. I would come turkey hunt with you.
Oh,
you say that. I've been inviting you for 10 years and you haven't came yet. So
I'm going to have to do that.
well,
Christy and I have actually been talking about trying to come out. We were going to come out this year and we got set back. So I'd like to come out
one of these years.
Yeah.
Yep. Come out, see the family, see the landscape.
Bounce some turkeys around.
Yes.
That'd be a good time. I haven't even turkey hunted with Lee, and I know he gets super excited about it.
Super excited about it.
Oh, man. I love it. I love it. If you asked me today if I'd go to deer hunt or turkey hunt, if I could only do one, I'd tell you turkey hunt.
Oh,
I'm so close to saying that. So close. I don't think I'll ever say it, but I'm always right on the edge because, like, man, like all the negative things that there's not a lot. I don't want to say negative things. I said that wrong, but all the things that, kind of put you down a little bit on deer hunting, like especially here in Michigan, like the neighbor shooting the deer, a lot of pressure, the rules and stuff like that, that all goes away in turkey hunting. And I have endless amount of land and I get to go hunt and just chase different birds. And at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter how long that beard is. Like, yeah, it's cool to shoot like a double beard or a triple beard, but like, it's all about that. Turkey hunting is literally all about the experience that you have in the woods with that animal. And that's what's so special about it to me. Is like, I can have an amazing experience with a deer. Like the deer that I killed this year, Dave, like hands down the coolest experience I've had with a whitetail. But I get to have with turkey, I get that every single time I go turkey hunting because I don't care. I'm not targeting an animal.
See, that's the problem with the argument of the Michigan hunter that just shoots everything.
I get it.
And so like, I get it. And cause like, I agree with them because it's at times I'm like, it's this balance, but it's like and that's where we talk about hunter progression is once you get into that land of like, or that idea, that mode of like, I'm going to grow a deer. And I actually have beat the lies and I've started to renew my mind that if I don't shoot this deer, statistically, my neighbors actually don't have a very good chance of shooting a 4.5-year-old deer because of all the dumb stuff that they're doing on their property. And so if I build a better mousetrap and I do understand how deer move and associate with their bedrooms, with food and all of that kind of stuff, the odds, like I say, the odds kind of go off the table during the rut. It stinks. It's the 2 weeks that I'm just holding my breath if I haven't killed that deer on a small 40-acre piece, you know what I mean? And like, but like once you start to see that and you start to learn that like, oh, you can chase a 5.5-year-old deer in Michigan. Yes, having 120 acres is ideal. It is better, but every piece matters. And it's like, control the controllables and that's why I love the fruits of the spirit and I preach this the most is that we look at the last fruit of the spirit. It's like when you have the spirit of the Lord upon you, it is you have self-control. And so when other people, the fear of what somebody else is going to do is manipulating you to make decisions, you no longer have self-control. They're actually controlling you. So when your neighbors, the fear of what your neighbor is going to do about that deer is actually controlling you, you don't actually have self-control. That's really messed up and that's really deep. But at the same time, it's like, holy cow, I don't want what other people, I can't control them, so I'm going to control me, and I'm not going to shoot that deer. And yeah, sometimes I shoot small deer and do dumb stuff because I'm having fun and I get excited. But it is what it is.
I can speak to that this year too. So I greatly appreciate your time today. Well, I'm sorry, I was off the mic. I appreciate your time today, Stephen.
Yeah.
I know you got family. I can see them walking around the background. Are they still there?
The girls had walked out for school already. I still got Christy still here.
I see. Do you? It looked windy out behind you. You guys have snow?
Horrible.
Do you still have snow?
We've got snow on. We were 48 degrees yesterday when we've been like in the 20s. So a lot of it melted off yesterday, but supposed to have 40 to 50 mile an hour winds today. So
are you guys getting that polar? Is it getting that cold out there this weekend for y'all? I'm gonna try to.
Is it cold coming again?
Oh yeah, like 5 degrees high Saturday and Sunday in Illinois. That's why I'm gonna try to go punch that muzzleloader tag.
Yep, it's supposed to be 0 up here, I think, over the weekend.
Yeah.
Well, are you gonna go hunting?
Man, I'm mad at him, but I'm not super mad at him yet. I still got an archery tag and a muzzleloader tag, so I've got about a month left to kill 2 bucks, I guess.
That's a long time, actually.
So, and they're there, I just. Do
you have standing crop at all?
Yeah, huh?
Do you have any standing crop?
I do. Yeah, but the problem is so is my neighbor.
Oh.
And what happened was 10 days ago, we got our first snow and it was like 6 inches. Well, they came in to combine the beans the night of the snow came in. And they combined 4 strips around the field and left all the standing beans on top of the hill. So, I mean, I'll set in my blind over 1.5 acres of standing beans and 1 acre of green. I've got brassicas, winter rye, and wheat. And I see 15 acres of standing grain over there with 70 deer in it. And I'll see 20 deer in my food plot. And the big ones always come out up there, which is fine. Once those beans come out, then it's a whole new playing field. So
wow.
I'm just waiting.
Just waiting. You're patient. I'll give you credit for that. He is Steven's one of the guys who I really look at as far as when I watch Steven strategically hunt a deer. In the beginning, it was mind blowing to me because he'd be like, "Oh, I got this deer on camera. He's showing up. I haven't hunted him yet." I'd be like, "What are you doing?
Get in there.
Get him.
Michigan, crash in there.
Yeah, go fast now."
Yeah.
And Steven's like, "No, I'll wait for the time." And he was like the one hunt man, where he's like that guy that goes hunting once and kills his target deer and sneaks out. So no offense, I'm glad that you haven't killed a deer yet this year.
Wow.
I don't feel like that. And actually my wife, it's really funny because I've hunted several times this year with a bow for Johnson, and I'd come in and I'd be like, gosh, dang it. He was here last night. He's not here today. I mean, I saw him, he was only 100 yards, and she's like, "He's got you figured out." I'm like, "He doesn't have me figured out. He doesn't know anything."
My wife had the exact same conversations with me. Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
He had you figured out.
She's like, "Oh, he's on to you." I'm like, "He's not on to me."
I love how she's messing with you. He is on.
Oh, yeah.
That's so good.
Oh yeah.
It was just meant for your daughter to kill him.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, cool, Steven. Greatly appreciate the time. Good to see you as always. And
Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll chat again soon.
Nice meeting you. And
good to meet you, buddy.
Yeah, and I'll send you my email so those farms you can just send them to me, not Lee, and we'll get that. We'll get that taken care of.
You heard him say 10 hours.
We got a couple coming up right now, Lee. One's a 40 and one's a 60.
Oh, there we go.
Nice little farms, combination CRP and timber.
Oh,
good deer history, but I'll chat with you guys about that later.
But quick, before you go, anybody interested in buying land in Missouri, how do they get a hold of you? Give yourself a little plug, or any of the Whitetail Properties guys.
Yeah, I mean, just go to the Whitetail Property page, look up Missouri, and Steven Stockman's my name. Steven Stockman whitetailproperties.com is my email, and give me a phone call. Whatever my email and phone call is there, just give me a call. I'd love to work with you, and I appreciate that.
Awesome. Yeah, I highly recommend. As you can tell from if you listen to this podcast, he's salted the earth, and obviously somebody who I would enjoy buying land from. Someday I will. One day I'll buy a piece of land from you. So
somebody you're going to enjoy buying land from.
Yes.
I love it.
Hey, good luck with the baby.
Thank you.
Hey,
thank you.
Thanks, Steven.
All right.
All right.
See you guys.
See you.